Max, I want to try an experiment.
Okay.
How long do you think you could sit and focus on one single thing, just one, without checking your phone, without switching to something else, without your mind wandering somewhere completely different?
Honestly, maybe 15 minutes. On a good day.
Most people say something similar. And here is what the research actually says. The average person today can focus on one thing for less than 8 seconds.
8 seconds.
8 seconds.
That is shorter than a goldfish.
It is shorter than a goldfish. And 10 years ago, it was 12 seconds. So we're going in the wrong direction.
And this matters because basically everything that is worth doing requires more than 8 seconds of attention.
Everything. Deep work, real conversations, learning a language, building a relationship, creating anything meaningful. All of it requires sustained focus. Sustained focus means the ability to keep your attention on one thing for an extended period of time. Sustained means maintained over time without breaking.
And we are losing that ability. Quietly, gradually, without most people even noticing it happening.
Until one day you sit down to do something important and you realize you cannot concentrate the way you used to. And you do not know when it changed.
Today we are talking about the habit that is destroying your focus and what to do about it.
Welcome to Real Life English, the podcast. I'm Emma.
And I'm Max. And today's episode is The Habit Destroying Your Focus. Today, you are getting 3 things. First, the real reason your focus is getting worse and the specific habit responsible. Second, what sustained focus actually feels like and how to rebuild it. And third, natural English vocabulary to talk about attention, habits, and mental clarity.
B1 and B2 level today. But honestly, if you have noticed your focus getting shorter, this episode is urgently for you.
Subscribe if you are new. We are here every single week.
Your comment homework today. Tell us, how long can you focus on one thing before your mind wanders or you check your phone? Be honest. Write it below.
Emma, I want to name the habit directly at the start, because I think dancing around it does not help anyone.
Go ahead. Name it.
The habit destroying your focus is switching. The constant habit of switching your attention from one thing to another, constantly, compulsively, without even deciding to.
Phone. Task. Phone. Email. Phone. Social media. Phone. Back to the task. Where were you? Start again. Phone.
And the phone is the most obvious example. But it is not just the phone. It is the whole culture of constant switching that the phone has trained us into.
Because here's what most people do not understand. Every time you switch your attention, even for 30 seconds, your brain has to do a transition. Transition means the mental process of moving from one state or task to another. And that transition has a cost.
What kind of cost?
Time, mental energy, momentum. Research shows that after an interruption, it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully return to deep focus on a task.
23 minutes. To recover from a 30-second distraction.
23 minutes. And most people are interrupting themselves every few minutes. all day long.
Which means they are never actually in deep focus at all. They are always in the recovery phase.
Always in the transition. Never arriving.
And the work that gets done in this state, it is surface work. It feels like productivity. You are busy. You are moving. Things are happening.
But nothing deep is getting done. Nothing that requires real concentration, real thinking, real creativity.
Deep work. Deep work means cognitively demanding tasks done in a state of distraction-free concentration. Deep work is what produces the most valuable results. And most people are completely losing access to it.
And here is the part that really concerns me. The more you switch, the more you train your brain to need switching. Because every time you switch to something stimulating, your brain gets a small hit of dopamine.
Dopamine. Dopamine is a chemical in the brain released when you experience something rewarding or pleasurable. Dopamine makes you feel good for a moment.
And your brain learns switching gives me dopamine. And it starts to crave the switching. Crave means to have a very strong desire for something, often difficult to resist.
So you check your phone, not because there is something important, but because your brain has been trained to want the stimulation.
Even when there is nothing there. You pick up the phone, open it, look at nothing, put it down. 30 seconds later, you pick it up again.
I do that. I absolutely do that.
Everyone does that. And it is not weakness. It is not laziness. It is a trained response. A habit that was built in by hundreds of thousands of repetitions.
And what was built can be unbuilt.
Slowly. With deliberate practice. But yes, it can be rebuilt.
Okay, so we know the habit. Now what actually rebuilds focus?
The short answer is practicing not switching.
Which sounds obvious, but is genuinely hard.
Much harder than it sounds. Because your brain will resist. It has been trained to switch. And when you try to stay with one thing, it will get uncomfortable, restless. It will generate the urge to check something, do something else, move on.
And that discomfort is the moment that matters most.
That moment of friction. Friction means resistance, a force that slows or stops movement. That moment of friction when your brain wants to switch and you choose not to, that is where focus is rebuilt.
One choice at a time.
One choice at a time. And it builds exactly like a muscle. The first week, 5 focus minutes feels like a lot. And after a month, 40 minutes feels natural.
I want to push back on one thing here.
Go ahead.
I think there is a difference between healthy mental flexibility, which is useful, and compulsive switching, which is destructive. And I do not want people to feel like any task switching is bad.
That is a really important distinction. Moving between tasks when you have genuinely finished one or when you are taking a real break, that is fine. That is healthy.
The problem is the compulsive switching, the switching driven by discomfort and the craving for stimulation, not the switching driven by actual choice.
The test is, did you choose to switch? Or did the urge to switch just happen and you followed it without deciding?
And most of the time, we follow the urge. We do not decide.
And learning to notice the urge without automatically following it, that is the skill.
Impulse control. Impulse control means the ability to notice an urge and choose whether to act on it rather than acting automatically. Impulse control is not about suppressing all urges. It is about creating a pause between the urge and the action.
And in that pause, you choose.
And here is something that surprised me. When I started practicing longer focus periods, the work itself became more enjoyable.
Really?
Yes, there is a state that researchers call flow. Flow means a state of complete absorption in a task where time seems to pass quickly and the work feels effortless and deeply satisfying. Flow is only accessible after about 15 to 20 minutes of uninterrupted focus.
So if you always switch before 15 minutes, you never get there.
Never. You are always below the threshold, always in the shallow end, never experiencing what deep-focused work actually feels like.
And once you feel flow, you understand what you have been missing.
It is one of the best feelings a human brain can experience. Complete absorption. Time disappearing. The work and the person doing it becoming almost the same thing.
And your brain craves that too. Once it knows it is possible, let us zoom out. Because this focus crisis, it is global. But it is not hitting everyone equally.
The technology that is training people to switch constantly. It is designed in certain countries, for certain business models, and its effects are felt everywhere.
And in some cultures, the pressure to be constantly available and constantly responsive makes the problem even worse.
If your culture values immediate responses, never being offline, always being reachable, the constant switching is not just a personal habit. It is a social expectation.
And saying, I am going to focus for 2 hours without checking my phone feels almost antisocial.
Which makes the boundary even harder to set.
If you are listening from a culture with that expectation, you might need to explicitly communicate your focus time to the people around you. Not just protect it internally, but say it out loud.
I am going to be unreachable for 2 hours. I will respond after that.
And most people, when they understand this is how you do your best work, they respect it.
There is also something worth saying about attention and privilege. Privilege means an advantage that some people have that others do not. The people most able to protect their focus are often those with the most control over their own time and environment.
If you work in a job where you must be constantly available, if you have young children, if you share a small space with many people, protecting long focus periods is genuinely harder.
And the answer in those situations is not to feel guilty about shorter focus windows, but to use whatever windows you do have fully.
10 focused minutes is better than an hour of constant switching.
Always. Whatever you have, use it fully. That is enough to start rebuilding. All right. Here is your practical framework. We are calling it the focus ladder.
4 rungs. You start at the bottom. And you climb.
Rung 1. The 5-minute focus. Set a timer for 5 minutes. Choose one task. Do only that task. When the urge to switch comes, and it will, notice it, name it, and keep going until the timer ends. Every day, just 5 minutes.
This sounds too easy. It is not too easy. The first few times you will be surprised how strong the urge to switch is even in 5 minutes.
Rung 2. The 15-minute focus. After 1 week of 5 minutes, move to 15. Same rules. One task. Timer running. Urge noticed. Keep going.
Rung 3, the 30-minute focus. One task, no phone in the room if possible. This is where the work starts to get genuinely deep.
And rung 4, the flow session. 90 minutes, one task. Everything else off. This is where the magic happens. This is where your best work lives.
You do not have to reach rung 4 immediately. Start on rung 1, stay there for a week. The latter works.
And here is one practical tip that changes everything. Put your phone in another room, not face down on the desk, not on silent, in another room.
Research shows that even having your phone visible, even turned off, reduces your cognitive capacity. Because part of your brain is always monitoring it.
Out of sight, out of mind, literally.
Let us hear some examples. Imagine someone called Tariq. He starts with 5-minute focus sessions every morning before work. He notices the urge to switch is strongest in the first 2 minutes and then eases. After 10 days, 5 minutes feels easy. He moves to 15.
Or imagine someone called Maria. She works from home with many distractions. She cannot always do long focus sessions. But she uses her lunch break for one 15-minute focus session every day. That one session produces more quality work than 2 hours of distracted working.
Or maybe you. Tomorrow morning, before anything else. 5 minutes. One task. Phone in another room, timer on, notice the urge, keep going until it ends.
Just 5 minutes. That is rung 1. And every great focus practice starts exactly there.
Word tour time. Max, start us off.
First, sustained focus. The ability to keep your attention on one thing for an extended period without breaking. Example 1. Sustained focus is what separates deep, productive work from the busy but shallow work most people do all day. Example 2. She trained her sustained focus the same way an athlete trains a muscle, slowly, consistently, over time. Did you catch that one?
Next, switching. The constant habit of moving attention from one thing to another, compulsively and often without deciding to. Example 1. The constant switching between tasks was leaving him exhausted at the end of the day, despite feeling like he had been busy the whole time. Example 2. Switching feels productive, but it actually prevents the deep work where the best results happen. Did you hear that one?
Transition. The mental process of moving from one state or task to another, which has a real cost in time and energy. Example 1. Every transition between tasks costs your brain time and energy, which is why interruptions are so expensive. Example 2. She reduced transitions in her day by batching similar tasks together and protecting long, uninterrupted blocks. Did you catch that?
Deep work. Cognitively demanding tasks done in a state of distraction-free concentration that produces the most valuable results. Example 1, he reserved his first 2 hours every morning for deep work, and those 2 hours produced more than the rest of the day combined. Example 2, deep work is becoming increasingly rare and increasingly valuable, which means the people who can do it have a real advantage. Did you hear that one?
Dopamine. A chemical in the brain released when you experience something rewarding, which makes you want to repeat the behavior. Example 1. Every notification gives your brain a small hit of dopamine, which is why checking your phone feels so automatic and so hard to stop. Example 2. Deep work also produces dopamine, but only after sustained effort, not in immediate hits. Did you catch that?
Crave. To have a very strong desire for something that is often difficult to resist. Example 1, her brain craved the stimulation of social media. not because she enjoyed it, but because it had been trained to need the switching. Example 2. Once she experienced genuine flow in her work, she started to crave that state instead. Did you hear that one?
Friction. Resistance. A force that slows or stops movement. Used here to describe the mental discomfort of resisting an urge. Example 1. The friction of staying with one task when your brain wants to switch. That discomfort is exactly where focus is rebuilt. Example 2. Adding friction to bad habits, like putting your phone in another room, makes them harder to do automatically. Did you catch that?
Impulse control. The ability to notice an urge and choose whether to act on it rather than acting automatically. Example 1. Strong impulse control does not mean having no urges. It means having a pause between the urge and the action. Example 2, impulse control is a skill that can be trained. It improves with practice the same way any other skill does. Did you hear that one?
Flow. A state of complete absorption in a task where time passes quickly and the work feels effortless and deeply satisfying. Example 1. She entered flow while writing and looked up to find 3 hours had passed. She had produced more in that state than in a whole week of distracted working. Example 2. Flow is only accessible after around 15 to 20 minutes of uninterrupted focus, which means constant switchers never experience it. Did you catch that?
And our last word, privilege. An advantage that some people have that others do not. Example 1. The ability to protect long focus periods is a form of privilege. People with less control over their time and environment face real additional challenges. Example 2. Acknowledging privilege around focus does not mean giving up. It means being honest about the different starting points people have. Did you catch that one?
We are at the end. And I want to say one thing.
Go ahead.
You are not distracted because you are weak. You are not unable to focus because something is wrong with you.
You are distracted because you have been trained to be distracted by technology designed specifically to capture and hold your attention.
And what was trained can be retrained.
Slowly. On rung 1. 5 minutes at a time.
5 focused minutes today. 10 tomorrow. 15 next week.
And one day, you will be deep in your work. Time will have disappeared. You will look up and realize, I was in flow. And the feeling of that will make you want to come back.
Your comment homework. How long can you currently focus on one thing before your mind wanders? Write it honestly. No judgment here.
And if this episode helped you today, share it with one person. Someone whose focus you want to protect along with your own.
Thank you for being here. I'm Max.
And I'm Max. Protect your attention today. It is one of the most valuable things you have. And we will see you in the very next episode.
Bye for now.
Bye!